think the Pope is making an entirely credible observation that we are all oppressed by the results that we imagine science has given us. On the one hand, when we turn to the heavens, we see these endless galaxies pinwheeling in the night sky, no trace of life as far as we can discern. Unimaginable reaches of space and time, the whole thing frozen, gelid, uncommunicating, way beyond any finite power of human discernment or appreciation. Smoldering, explosive processes at work in the cosmos which we can barely fathom. And the whole thing destined to dribble away in the endless reaches of space or contract again upon itself. Given our natural size and scale, the sheer immensity of things, the primitive nature of the drama taking place before our eyes, I think gives us a very vulnerable sense. And there's an ache in the human heart. Oh my God, look at how big that thing is. The other side of that equation is when we turn to living systems, we are endlessly provoked and dismayed to discover that far from being unique in the animal kingdom, we seem to be kith and kin to every revolting and shambling thing that slithers or crawls across the face of the earth. It's just an accidental rearrangement of the genetic alphabet that gives me my position and gives the fish his. One of the things that modern science has given us is a new object of veneration. Let's call it the laws of nature. Some physicists even go so far as to credit the laws of nature with the creation of the universe. And I think the Pope is saying, why repose your confidence in the laws and refrain from making the intellectually audacious step of saying, these laws are what we, within the confines of the cave, actually can perceive of the nature of reality. But if the laws are luminous, if they give us instruction, if they provide an aspect of beauty that has never been seen before, surely this is suggestive. It says something to the human soul that these laws actually exist. Don't worship in a temple that for all intents and purposes is your own creation. Simply look at the luminousness and make the next step.
When I was about 15 or 16, for the usual rationalist reasons, I stopped believing. At that time, under the impression that belief and faith were the same thing. I since understand that they are not the same thing. But I thought they were, and I stopped believing in all this stuff. And I felt tremendously liberated. And only somewhat later, only years later, did it come to me that half of my head was missing. That I had just cut myself off from a tremendously important part of myself that was no longer available. I was doing a story on scientific enterprise that works out of Fort Pierce, Florida. They have a submersible that's capable of going to enormous depths, and it's totally dark, except for the biophosphorescent creatures that live there, tritones and cetopods and creatures like this. You feel like you're in the ocean at the dawn of creation. What it made me think of was when God confronts Job. God asks him, "Can you draw Leviathan with a hook? Who made Behemoth? Have you seen the springs of the ocean?" And I thought, God, I'm seeing the springs of the ocean. And I thought, this creature has as much life, is as perfectly formed, is as complete in its destiny, in its place in things, as I am. And it made me think, surely there is a providence underlying all these wonders. And that tempted me to faith.
To the Pope, science and the wonder it evokes in us is not an obstacle to belief, but a privileged path to it. John Paul II urges us to look beyond our intellectual atheism, because reason, which limits man to the visible world, will kill faith.